Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good evening. How are we, people? Reni, hello.
Hello. It's Reni actually, but how's it going, Jacob?
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Good to have you on for the first time.
Yeah. Nice to be on. Can I please give a couple of quick shout outs and I will stop being annoying, I promise.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
To my husband, Tyrone Lethbridge, thank you for tuning in while you're on a break. I miss you lots. We're working opposite schedules lately, so. And then to my friends Melvin and Brian, thank you for stopping by.
Yes. Good old Melvin. How you doing, sir? Brian, what's up?
He's still muted.
Am I muted?
Still technically muted. No. He's technically Mexican, still technically muted.
Mexican.
You know?
Okay.
Hey, technically Mexican. What's up?
There we go.
I tried to make a joke and it totally landed on deaf ears.
Literally.
You should have minded it, you know?
Well, you don't get to hear it anymore, so.
So how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
I'd
good.
also like to shout out Reni's husband. I miss
Aw.
him. I miss him a whole lot too.
He's like the best husband ever. And
I know.
sometimes I feel like I take that for granted when I don't get to see him as much as I'm used to. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Matt? Good evening.
How you doing, Jacob and everyone? I would like to shout out the Ninja Raccoons who relentlessly stalked Jacob, who allowed the stream to go live today. You know, sometimes they are not as merciful as they usually are today.
No. Sometimes they come at me like the Persian immortals.
Hey, Melvin.
Can fight them off.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the story about the raccoons, Reni.
The Wreckings?
Raccoons.
Oh, raccoons?
Jacob
No. What's the
Ironside's
story?
internet frequently
I
goes out.
blame them for the when my internet goes out.
Oh, okay.
So it's become kind of a thing.
At one of my previous
You're
jobs, we had them everywhere, and they got so fat because they would eat out of the trash cans. When people would throw away various food items and whatnot, and you would just see this big fat striped butt
Yeah.
poking out of the top of the trash. And so it's like, oh my goodness. And one night I was leaving and I could swear I thought one was going to scratch my eyes out, but it didn't, thank goodness. But I wouldn't have had a chance. That dude was huge. So
Yeah.
but they're so
I've
cute.
had plenty of them. They are. I've had plenty of chickens decapitated by raccoons. Yeah, so
Yeah,
they
they'll
can
eat
be pretty
anything.
vicious little things. So
Well, they're predators.
I'm excited to talk about Jack Reacher. I watched both movies. The first one and then Never Back Down.
So,
I thought it was weird that they recast it and it would turn it into an MMA movie, but
well, they just pumped Tom Cruise up with steroids for the show. That's all they did. You know?
yeah.
Well, have any of you guys actually read the Reacher books or the Jack Reacher books?
I've read the first three, possibly the fourth one.
So I can't remember which ones I read, but Jack Reacher, the guy in the show looks like how you should picture Jack Reacher looking, right? He's just this massive dude that nobody's going to mess with and
That's
goes
what-
around kicking ass and
Yeah,
owning. So
He's as close as I can imagine it. But the only thing I can imagine more physically like Reacher is if you know who the Undertaker is from WWF and what he looked like in the 1990s before he got
yes,
old.
I do.
Yeah, like that's the only. Reacher is immense. He's like Richardson said he had to build himself up physically to get close to it. That's how big Reacher is, But he's like a linebacker. He's not like a plotting. He's in the books. Reacher's like a linebacker. He's like a cat. So
Yeah, and Tom Cruise just doesn't feel the.
No,
I-
and he's
although-
tiny. He's a little
Yeah,
dude.
he's a little guy.
I want to give him credit though. He may not have physically met the role, but he acted like Reacher in the movies. He understood the character.
Yeah, he did.
he understood the character, I feel like, but it's again, in some ways it was kind of, it's like with Jason Statham, right? Jason Statham plays Jason Statham as a
Yeah.
Jason Statham
Yeah.
character. And I feel like that's what kind of Tom Cruise was doing with this and Mission Impossible. Because I felt like his Jack Reacher was just his Mission Impossible character, but just
Ethan Hunt.
like a different aspect or angle of it. So
And
I think with this other guy, even though I think he was in Smallville, I can't remember this
Yeah,
guy's name.
he played Aquaman in
Aquaman.
Smallville. Alan
Yeah.
Richardson. He also played a couple other roles we've seen him in. I just don't. I always remember Aquaman in Smallville when he was tiny.
But he doesn't feel like he's like playing the same character and just changing some things up. This is a completely different character for him. And I think he really
Right.
does embody Jack Reacher a lot. I do like how they bring Neely really close into it. Like Neely
Oh,
is a very prevalent part of the books, man. She's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
In one of
And
the
I
Ninja
love
Turtles reboots, he played one of the Ninja Turtles. That's the other thing I remember.
Well, he doesn't bring any turtle
Yeah,
into the
his
show. so
name's
that's
Alan
good.
Richardson.
And it's show
Yeah.
that people didn't watch, or most people didn't watch, was that Teen Titans show. He was in that as one of the characters. I don't know.
Which character was he? Because I used to
There's
watch Teen
Hunger
Titans like
Games.
religiously.
I think he got
There's three. So which one are you talking about? Teen Titans Go, or Titans?
the live action Teen Titans.
Oh,
The two
gross.
cartoons is the one I watched.
Yeah.
I didn't watch
Um,
Titans, but they were the same voices for both cartoons. which
Yeah,
is
I loved how they
Oh,
took a kids show and put nudity in it.
weak.
But the character that should be nude, Starfire, was like fully clothed the entire show. You know what I mean? If you read the comics, she's a space hedonist who considers wearing a bikini overdressed in comics. You know, it's like,
So Alan Richardson was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Hunger Games, Fast X. But yeah, he's
okay.
really good for this role. I mean, he fits it.
and you said something jokingly before, technically Mexican, that the show did very creatively. They referenced one of the Tom Cruise films as having occurred already.
Yeah.
So did that mean they're not going to adapt that one? I guess and accept the events of that movie.
Yeah,
loosely
I
speaking?
would assume they wouldn't adapt either of them, right? Because just I really like the Tom Cruise movie. I actually haven't seen the second one. I made another joke because I called it Never Back Down, but it's Never Go Back.
Yeah.
Never Back Down
Yeah,
is the
they should have never
MMA
gone back.
movie. Never Back Down
They
is the
should have
MMA
never
movie
made-
with Amber
They,
Heard.
they should have never made another movie.
That
movie
was the sequel bad?
I disliked that movie. Yeah.
I
didn't like it at all.
love the first one, and yeah, the casting. He gives a fantastic performance, but he's so short. He's the opposite of what
Yeah.
like, he should physically look like.
Yes, he
Um,
doesn't embody Jack Reacher.
But I
properly for me.
genuinely love the first movie. I've seen it probably like 5 times. It's
enjoyable. I mean,
it's a very good movie.
Yeah,
like
I've seen it a few times.
there's some really I kind of disagree. I feel like I don't feel like Tom Cruise feels like Ethan Hunt in that movie. I mean, it's similar because he's like a detective, but like his mannerisms are pretty different. But yeah, I know the casting for the TV show is absolutely spot on. I was a really big fan of this guy until I found out he's a Christian, and so now we have to hate him. So
yeah.
shame.
Not touching that one. But yeah,
And he-
I don't know. I'm not a big
he
Tom Cruise
actually,
fan, to be
in
honest
this-
with you guys. So, that could be part of it. I'm not a big fan of his.
I'm-
I think
I'm
he's a decent
50-50
actor, but
with
you
him.
know, he's just such a weirdo in some of the stuff that he's done in his personal life.
He's a whack job, but
I mean,
man,
it's
he can
hard.
act.
It's hard to get that stuff out of my head when I watch something with him.
I
You know
know,
what I
yeah.
mean? It's like,
And you can
oh,
read weird stuff about a lot of these people. You know what I mean? I'm like, I just, I just like, I don't really care about anything they do except like do movies or TV shows. It's like athletes. Bounce the ball, throw it in a hoop, throw a touchdown, kick the guy in the face, whatever it is. I don't care what you do off the kick. You know what I mean?
See,
mhm.
the thing, the complaint that he plays himself in every movie is only a complaint if himself is not a good character. Like I want to
But-
see Jason Statham be himself in every movie he's in because I like Jason Statham. So I like Tom Cruise too. You know, there's a couple people who are like, okay, I don't like you, and that's when it becomes grating.
Yeah. I love the first meeting between her and Reacher. She's like, if you don't get over here, I'll hurt you.
Yeah. So
And she's so tiny compared to him.
She is so small.
Yeah. Well, compared to him, I mean, anyone looks small compared to him. You know, I'm obviously a big obese guy, and I would look tiny next to him. I would, you know, it's like, it's hard to appreciate how big someone is who's that big until you've been around someone that big.
Have you seen the pictures of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? Oh no, sorry, not Rock. Arnold Schwarzenegger standing next to Andre the Giant.
Oh yeah.
It's the same difference. It's the same difference between Reacher and
what's his name?
Peter
Hall, the guy that played the Predator.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's
okay.
huge.
Yes.
And there's a picture of him next to Arnold. It's like Arnold's little.
It's insane.
Well, there's a guy I knew in high school named Formoso. I'm not going to tell you. We call him Formoso because Italians call each other by our last name. And when he was 16 or 17, he could bench press over 450 pounds with like a throw bench. Like the coach had 450 on. And Coach Hansel was pretty big, pro bodybuilder. And Pam's like, get that out of the way, Coach. He lifted almost drew the belt off and put like 2 more plates on, man. So and he was big, like he's Reacher big. He's like 6'4", like hulky. You know what I mean? And so when you meet someone this big in real life, it's like insane, you know.
So are we gonna frame by frame like kind of the whole show?
Well, do we have time for
not
that?
the whole show?
But I assume you want to kind of go over it in order. Or
so the first season of the show is based on the first book. So that at least is chronologically aligned.
Yeah, it is. Because I have a hard out at the hour mark. I have to go pick up my kid. So I want to get my piece out, and then we can. I just didn't want to start. I just didn't. Not I wanted to say sorry. Yeah, that is not how you say that. I wanted to say my piece.
There you go. That's better. Phrasing.
Yeah.
And I will I guess
before we go and do it in order, right?
There you go.
Right.
I mean, hey, if you want, if you guys leave some super chats.
Poor Jacob. We don't want him to get canceled.
Anything can happen. Okay?
So let's go. Let's get into this then. So he walked. In the first episode, they show little guys out in the woods or in a field, and they're shooting at people, something like that. That's how it starts out. But then it shows him get off the bus.
Wait, Jacob, we forgot to announce it. Audience, there may in fact be spoilers for Reacher in this.
Oh yeah.
There will in fact be spoilers for Reacher in this.
Yeah, spoilers, disclaimer, folks. You've had it. That's it. Now
You have been
here they come.
warned.
Well, I haven't seen it yet, so I might duck out.
Uh-oh.
So he arrives at Margrave, right?
Margrave.
Welcome to Margrave. Yep. And
this shot too is cool in the rain. It's like nothing phases him.
No, and I do like at the beginning where it's like, is he going to talk? Does he talk?
Yeah.
So he usually doesn't. Did you read any of the books, Reni?
Yes, and that's the interesting thing, right? Because they made you think that he was going to be full, just man of little to no words, right? And I thought that was quite interesting, and I was like, oh, that's how they're gonna play this show. Okay.
Well, he always speaks to a purpose. You know what I mean?
He doesn't waste words. Yeah.
And that's the one. I don't want to say criticism is the wrong word, but he in the book that they adapted for the second season, Bad Luck and Trouble. For the first 10 books or 9 of the first 10 books, Reacher acts this way. You know what I mean? And then in what we see in the second season is where Reacher kind of gets emotional and start to lose it a little and all that. So the audience of the TV show who never read the book might be a little shocked when he goes back to being like the first season Reacher in the third season. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I like season 2, but I do think it was an odd choice to go with the book that they went with for a season 2. I think it would have worked much better as like a season 4.
I
Yeah, I
think
agree.
they didn't know. So a friend of mine in the industry said that they filmed season 1 and 2 together, and I think they just
That's
didn't
even
know
weirder.
how. I know, because they're nothing alike, right? And so because of the fact that they filmed them together, you would think they were more similar, but they're just not. And they
Yeah.
went just in complete, they went to complete left field from the first one. And I'm like, wow, that's a jump and that's a reach. And that kind of stuff doesn't really get
It's
like
a
this until
reach.
later. Yeah. So I thought the same thing, and I was just like, that's a little bit of a stretch. But then if they filmed them together, they didn't know the future of the show. It does make
Yeah.
sense. And from what I hear, they are currently filming right now on the 3rd season.
Yeah,
So
it's based on starts with a P. Persuader.
They just announced the book.
Persuader,
nice.
which occurs before Bad Luck and Trouble.
Yeah.
And the other thing they're doing is apparently, I guess Neely is testing very positive with the audiences, and she's basically going to be Reacher's right hand person in all the season shows now.
Neely?
All seasons. Yeah, because she's only in like 4 books.
Interesting
Be...
fact about the actor playing Reacher. He actually lives on the road, like Reacher, with his family.
He's a vagabond. Isn't that what he calls himself?
Yeah.
He lives in Airbnbs with his family, and his wife homeschools.
Cool.
So I don't know if it's to get in the mindset of Reacher or what, but it's kind of cool.
Which is a happy coincidence.
Yeah.
If we could afford to do that, right? That would be like a fun life.
Yeah.
But it's not sustainable.
I wish I was
Especially
healthy enough to get like a good RV and just go on the road for 10 years.
Mm-hmm. It'd be fun, but it's just not sustainable. You have to have some money going into it,
Yep. I love this part where he's about to walk into the diner, and that guy's like grabbing, and he just looks at the guy. He's like, "I'm sorry, I won't do it again." It's like, yes. And then he sits down to get a pie, and then
never gets to eat it.
I know that's true. He never gets his pie.
He gets to eat it in the last episode, though, right?
Yeah, but still, there's been how many
the
times
episode called Pie.
Yeah.
How many times does he sit at this diner that he's denied, or at a diner that he's denied his pie?
Well, that's the joke. I kind of loved it. Yeah.
And I love how he just sees it. He's like, "Oh, they're probably gonna come for me. Just prepare myself here."
It's like, what now? That's what I felt like his face was giving away, or his body language. Like, oh, God, what now?
Yeah.
I just want to eat a piece of pie and enjoy some jazz music. That's all I want to do.
Like, seriously. And that's literally all he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, wait, they just saw this guy walking near the scene of this crime. It's like, pick him up. He did it.
Well, yeah. This scene is also very reminiscent of my favorite scene from the movie, where they basically set him up to get in a bar fight, and the police show up immediately, and he gives a speech of like it's 5 against 1. No, it's 3 against 1, or
because he's gonna run, and
I'm gonna immediately beat down 2 of you, and then the people who are brave are gonna stay, and then the last one's gonna run off. It's a great, and so they kind of mimicked that in this, but in a different way, so it's not repetitive.
So they arrest him.
Well, that's a Reacherism from the book,
don't have
he's analytical.
They don't have
it's really good
handcuffs big enough for him, so they put zip ties on him.
that is a very funny. It's a good gag, but it's also good world building and character building.
Absolutely.
Like it with just essentially no dialogue. It's just exposition through a joke.
Yeah.
Which it's I don't know if I can think of another example off the top of my head of doing something like that. It's very clever. Very clever.
and that's when he meets her. What's her name? On the show?
Her first name's Roscoe, but I don't remember her last
Roscoe.
name.
That's right.
Roscoe.
Which is weird for.
I just remember
for a
they
woman.
said Clark Bar like 30 times in season 2. So
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So
And,
for a second, I thought her name was Clark because I didn't rewatch season 1 going into this. So I just assumed, wait, was that her name or? Oh no, she wrote her phone number on it at the end.
Well,
So.
And that's a funny thing because the character's first name is Roscoe, but that could be a last name. So is she a last name Roscoe or a first name?
It's gotta be a last name.
No, the character's first name is Roscoe.
It's right.
Yeah. But like through your head, like while you're watching the show, it's like, oh, that's her last name, and then it's like, oh, it's her first name. That's weird, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember any of the characters' names from season 2 except for Neely because she was good. I mean, they were all good characters. There were just so many of them. There's like,
I've only watched
whole
season
ensemble
2 once.
introduced. I couldn't tell you any of their names.
I think Melvin said it really well. Melvin Deeply in the chat, where he kind of compared it to Reacher having his own like A team in season 2.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really good analogy.
Yeah.
And I'll probably remember more of them when I watch it again. Like I watched season 1 like 4 or 5 times already.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was obsessed over it. I was in such shock. I was like, no, this can't possibly be a good TV show in America. Like every good TV show I've been watching other than From, but I think it's even Canadian, has been like European or Korean for like that whole year this came out. I'm like, and I was like, no, I was told to not like this can't. It's got to be said. Like the 5th episode, something's gonna happen where like they're gonna kill him off, and like something's gonna happen. You know what I mean? But it just I couldn't believe how good it was. So I just watched it like 4 or 5 times. You know?
Yeah. I like the 2 fight scenes in the prison. The first one that guys comes in.
Prison.
That's
fight.
great.
Yeah.
Both of them. The in the bunk scene and then in the bathroom, right?
I love how he just goes to town on those guys, especially when he's trying to protect. And now I do forget the guy who he's trying to protect in prison, but I thought that was really
Glasses
awesome.
guy. That's
what
Glasses.
I wanted to say, but that's such a shitty thing to say.
It's guy, but just call him Four Eyes. Come on,
Dave something.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I'm not trying to remember. And is it Dave? No, that's a season 2 guy. That was the lawyer's name first.
Can you guys name the 1041? What's his team name? The 1010.
The special investigators.
Yeah, but it has a name.
He has the military number.
110. It's the 110.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
The 110. Do you guys know their names?
The 110 military police.
Are you talking about his teammates' names?
Yeah, can you name any of them?
Neely, Dixon,
I can read them off right here.
Okay.
I don't remember the other person's name.
You're
Swan and someone else.
You're a better person than me.
Yeah, you're better than me right now too.
Yeah.
I usually have a great memory, but like I said, I only watch. I gotta watch. So one of the ways I remember stuff is I watch it like 10, 20 times. And that's how I can remember some movies like that. Like people think I'm an encyclopedia, but that's because I'm obsessive. You know, it's like.
Great.
No, Prophet. I liked the characters. I just can't remember their names because they introduced a whole ensemble in season 2. So I liked them. Performances were fine. I just can't remember their names.
And honestly, I don't want to say that's bad or good. Like I'm okay with it only because it's rewatchable. So you'll pick it up on the second time. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's stuff that you'll watch. Like you'll enjoy once, and I'll never watch that again unless it's 15 to 20 years later. I'm like, what the hell? You know?
Yeah.
This is something I will probably rewatch. I'm gonna say in March or April for sure. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe sooner than that. You know, and I'll stream through it. I'll just beam through it like in 3 episode chunks. You know, at a time.
He's also got a photographic memory, and he knows all these things. Like the scene where they get to the prison, and that guy's like, strip, and he's going to search him. He's like, you have no reason to search me like that. It's like, you can try.
You can try. Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen, bro.
Doesn't he? I need to rewatch season 1, but doesn't he like tease him? He's like, it seems like you really want to search up there.
That's I thought he
Yeah.
said something like
Yeah.
that. Now that you say
There's a
that,
line like
but
that.
He's like, is there a reason you want?
Yeah.
So IMDb doesn't have very many pictures of each episode. So,
Well, again, we only have a half an hour left with.
yeah, let's just
burn through it.
Burn through it.
Which season do you guys like better? One or two?
it's gonna be one for me, man.
One. Yeah, first one.
Absolutely.
But in the sense of like, to be clear, because I was talking about this with Pops, like both seasons have their flaws, right? Structurally, you can nitpick here or there, right?
Yeah.
My problem with season 2, who said it earlier? It's more like season 4 or something like that. You know?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. Like it felt like there should have been more. Maybe because I read the first 3 books and someday might read more of them. Like I wanted more of the sort of solo Reacher first,
right,
before we got to the whole. Because remember,
it feels like a reprieve, right? Like he finally gets to meet back up, and for the first time he's worked with the team in a long time. Except for it's season 2 for us, right? So it would have been more effective. It would have been more effective if we saw him lonely for a longer time, and then finally, like, oh, he's finally back home with his friends. You know?
Well, sort of. He's the opposite of that, though. He is like, some people are loners by nature.
Yeah,
he's like that.
Oh, yeah, I get
the
that.
Thing.
Yeah,
and I agree. I think he should have been on his own for a couple seasons. But like I was telling you guys, I think they didn't know the future of the show, so they wanted to try to keep the audience. That being said, I don't think that season 2 is bad television by any means. It's just that season 1 was so great that I expected season 2 to exceed it. It wasn't like season 1's a 10 and season 2's a 2. But it wasn't quite as good as season 1, but it was still good in my opinion.
I'd say season 1's an 8 and season 2's a 7.
I'd probably go with that, or a 9 and an 8. Something to that effect.
I am a larger fan of violence, I guess, than you two, and I rate season 1 almost a 10. And if I see, there are 2 things. I hate to sound like a Luddite, but if there's violence and hot chicks in something, you got a 7 out of 10 minimum for me. Like put some good writing on top of that, good acting. You know what I mean? Like if there's visual appeal to it, like what I mean? Like
that's the thing. Like it's so hard now to tell if a show is actually good or if it's just not as bad as the common denominator nowadays,
have we suffered lowered expectations?
But this show is genuinely.
Be careful, OT. There's going to be some spoilers.
Yeah, we don't want to ruin your life, man. It's like
the show is genuinely good. I don't think it's a 10, and I think you might have some poop colored glasses on, and so this looks like a 10 to you because you're like, oh, it's not poop anymore,
Oh no, see. I don't want to say I'm a violent person, but I did combat sports as a kid, wrestling and all that. So anything with physical violence in it, it makes me happy.
Oh, I'm all for violence, baby.
Except for, I don't know. I think season 2, that is one thing they could have pulled back a little bit. I felt like it was a little bit overly graphic in some parts. That's just me. That might just be, me being too big of a weenie on that front. But like especially that's.
To each their own.
Packing the vehicle with the 3 dead guys.
Well, or the scene with the jar at the warehouse when they finally, meet up with the big bad, and it's like, oh, bro. And so there were just some things that were a bit graphic for me in season 2. That was definitely a big one. But I just, I think they could have pulled back on that, but nonetheless, it was still pretty good. So I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. And my favorite fight of both seasons is the only fight that Reacher had to work for it is when he fights that guy on the fire escape.
Mm-hmm.
The assassin who's actually skilled enough. It's in season 1.
He was skilled enough, and he was a big dude himself.
Yeah, he's like an evil Reacher basically, and so Reacher has actually worked to win that fight.
I think. Not favorite fight scene, but I think the best scene from the series is the opening scene of season 2, though. The ATM scene. I don't know. I think that's just the perfect little slice of Reacher. It's not even connected to the story yet. It's just him. He's wandering the road, happens upon someone in trouble, and fixes it, and then leaves. You know, it's the Western. You know, and I love the opening scene of season 2. And so I was really pumped going in, and I felt like at the end it was like it wasn't quite as good as season 1 was, but
nonetheless still good.
No, still good. I complain about things that I love, okay, and I do love this show.
I did think episode 8 was a little lackluster.
It was. I will say
season 1 has the same problem. I don't like the finale of season 1.
Really?
I think like if it's the last episode of the season, they should have it be a little bit lengthier. And you know, they really shortened episode 8 of season 2. And I think that's kind of part of the reason why I'm like, it could have been a little bit better, you know?
Well, I'm wondering if the 8 episode format is a little restrictive for the adaptation, you know?
Maybe, but it's better than cramming it into a 2-hour movie. You know what I mean?
No, I think it's better to do 8 episodes because these books aren't super long, right?
Well, I'm wondering.
I think it's better to do 8 episodes than to stretch it out and have filler.
Haven't you guys noticed this is Amazon's formula? They typically do 8 episodes a season.
That's what I'm wondering about. Like, I'm wondering if when the Blu-rays eventually get released for this, there'll be like added scenes that you could throw back in or whatever.
For a series
Snyder
like
cut.
For a series like The Wheel of Time, you need to have more than 8 episodes. Also, you need writers who actually like the books, but that's a different story. I won't talk about Wheel of Time because this is a Reacher stream, and I talk the whole time. But for a book like Reacher, I think 8 episodes is fine. I think it would have gotten redundant, and it would have felt like filler if it was longer.
I'm not saying to be 15 episodes, but I think, let's say, for example, these episodes tended to push an hour, right? Like, edit them slightly differently, so you'll get like 9 episodes, add a little footage back, and so you'll stretch it slightly with a few more character moments, something that type of thing. Like, it felt like if there's one legitimate complaint I'll have about both seasons, the way Reacher disassembles these mysteries in the first couple novels is one of the most fascinating things, right? Yeah. Because he's really, I don't want to say a genius, but he's like a computer. You know what I mean?
Well,
he's constantly thinking, constantly like analyzing, he knows.
Well, and he notices the littlest detail, right? That's the thing. He takes in something that you wouldn't even think of when you're watching the show or when you're reading the books. It's like, oh, that's not important. It's like, oh, it was.
Remember the whole thing about the cows in the first season?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
He kept bringing it up.
He knew there was something with those cows and the cattle feed and all that.
Right.
But there was nothing kind of like that in the second season. But there's something like that in at least the first 3 Reacher books. There's something like that every book.
This season 2 kind of got a little cliche, like with the moments where he's supposed to be smart. It kind of came off as dumb, where they have people hand him the answer. Like, oh, we're sitting in the diner. I can't figure out these numbers. Well, let me get the check for you. I'll tally it up for you. Tally. Oh, it's a tally. I was like, I really hated that moment.
I think it's the whole group dynamic is why they did that. I think if it was more
when you have moments from the from the movie and I'm going to talk about Tom Cruise again, but we have moments where he just hyper dissects stuff, and you're like, oh, I wouldn't have caught on, like when he's looking for the auto parts store. And he says, look, she didn't say he works at an auto parts store. She said he works at the auto parts store. So which store, comes to mind as the auto parts store? You're like, oh, it's the big one up. Like moments like that are like, oh, that's good detective work. And then moments like tally, you're like, okay.
His character, I don't know if he did this on purpose, but did any of you ever watch the In the Heat of the Night TV show?
The what?
Oh gosh,
No.
a long time
Yeah.
ago when I was
So
a wee
In the
little
Heat of the Night
kid
was
with
a
my
movie
parents.
with Sidney Poitier way back, right? And Carol O'Connor did a TV show based on it in the 80s, which was better than the movie, to be honest. And Mr. Tibbs, the black detective in there, I'm wondering if this actor modeled him off of that character. Because as soon as I saw the way he's portraying this character, I was like, this is like Virgil Tibbs 2.0. If anyone's ever seen the TV show In the Heat of the Night, you know what I'm talking about. It's the way the actor who played him in the show, you know. So, but I enjoyed this guy's character's arc in the first season quite a bit.
Yeah.
I
And the
can't
dog,
remember the detective's name.
I loved
What
all
was
the
his
dog. I
name?
loved all the scenes with the dog in the first. You know, every
I'm looking.
I can't remember his
Yeah.
name either, but I loved
loved-
the scene in season 2 with him. It's
Totally.
wonderful.
Yes, I was so excited to see him back, even though it was just for half a second.
It was
I
sweet.
Like,
It was short. It was sweet. He pops in, serves his purpose, and you're like, oh, I get to see you again. And it was just it was a good scene.
Was
too.
it Finley?
Finley, yeah.
Yeah. Really.
There
Yeah,
you go.
I loved the dynamic with Reacher and Finley because it was very like it was a lot of banter, and then like it wound up becoming camaraderie where it's like he wanted to hate Reacher so much because Reacher was always right and he was just taking over everything, and he hated that, but at the same time he kind of got a lot of respect for him, and they became friends, and I thought it was really awesome.
What are your feelings on season 2's replacement, Boston Finley?
I actually wasn't he a New Yorker? Roscoe? Or
Is
not
Boston,
Roscoe.
Isn't Boston part of New York? I don't
Russo.
know. I don't know.
So
No,
the character,
New York. No.
That
Aren't they
guy
next to each
plays-
other?
That guy, he plays that same character in everything he
Yeah.
does, which he's really good at. He played a similar character in a show called Breakout Kings. I don't know if I've ever watched that.
No.
It was two really. I thought it was the best show on A&E like ever. It was like 2 seasons of. The premise was they fought a special unit of the U.S. Marshals with prisoners to help them catch other prisoners. So it was ran for 2 seasons. It was really good.
Okay, they're
and-
right next to each other. It's a
Yeah.
different city, but it's
But
pretty
to
much
answer
the
your
same.
question, I think that they made it look like Russo and Reacher were going to have that same kind of camaraderie, and then it did not happen. And I was really brokenhearted that they never really got to kiss and make up before he died. I was like, oh my god, Reacher was a total
Yeah,
dick
and
to
then,
him this
then it
whole
was kind
season.
of just. Then it was just kind of forgotten.
Yeah, it was
That he
sad.
died. It's like,
Well, he basically
didn't
just
forget
shows
it,
up
it's
and
just-
says, "Hey, you're gonna help me now." Okay.
So I think
I
that
do like
that
the
could have
scene
left
with-
something to
with-
be desired.
yeah. I do like the scene between Neely and Finley. He's like, "Oh, you look nice," and she's like, "Watch it, elbow patches."
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was a good zinger, for sure.
And how did you guys feel when you realized that he wasn't stalking his ex-wife, that she was actually, or his wife, she was actually dead? I thought that was really sad because they made it sound like he was an ex, just kind of, because he kept calling her and leaving voicemails.
Oh,
I thought
And
she
then it was
dead
like, oh,
early
by the
on.
way, my wife is dead. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for this guy. That explains a lot. So,
Yeah,
I thought she was dead from early on because of the way the actor was
before
playing
it was
it.
confirmed, but
Or she was in
Just
like a
really
mental
good.
institution, like she was inaccessible. You know what I mean?
yeah.
mhm.
I
And it
just thought
wasn't,
she was
you know,
ghosting him.
overly done. It was just
Yeah.
very subtly and it's
Yeah.
good writing. I mean, they don't have to, make up this extremely lengthy they don't have to do a flashback of him explaining it all. It's just very straightforward.
That's with these shows that are based on books that are well adapted, like let's say, as opposed to the horror show adaptations. Little things like that where they can tell the story of a background character without making you feel they sidetracked the whole show or whole episode to do it. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and and I have to give credit. The actors here, they got the right actors to act these parts. You know what I mean? Like you hate the villains in this show. Like,
Oh, I hated
I mean,
what's his name? The guy
this
on
guy.
the screen. Yes, I hated him so much
Oh, yeah.
throughout the show, and I was like, he's got to be the bad guy. He's got to be the bad guy.
The villains in
And-
season 1 are much stronger.
And the way he goes out is very satisfying.
Yes, I agree.
The season 2 baddie had way too many opportunities to take out Reacher and just didn't.
But I did like
Yeah.
the Terminator references that they did on his season, though. That was
I-
pretty
Every
cool.
time I heard one, I would crack a smile. You know?
Yeah, same.
Mhm. They had
that's
similar
smothered in
moments in
smile.
season 1 where like the bad guys have Reacher and don't kill him, but it was explained in the plot like, no, we need Reacher, we need him alive to track down the guy we can't find. So we're gonna hold on to your girl, and so like there were similar moments where, but it was explained in season 1, and in season 2 you're just like, why is he still alive? I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, all they sent were those 2 guys at the funeral to try the snipers to try and take him out.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I was talking about this on my weekly show, and my cousin and I both like simultaneously had the thought about like 3 episodes before it was over that the chick he was sleeping with was going to be a turncoat.
Nope.
Because
Dixon?
Dixon, yes, because with the flashbacks, they were trying to hint that the guy they were looking for, maybe he's dirty or maybe he's not. We don't know that for sure, right? They kept hinting on that, and then they kept asking, "Hey, if you had to take out someone from the 110, someone from your family, would you be able to pull the trigger?" And and then they reveal that no, he's a good guy. The whole, we hired him to help the whole time. There were a couple moments where they kind of implied that Dixon was the one behind, like in the flashback. When they find the stuff in their car, she's the one that brings up the story, and so you're like, well, maybe she was the one that was trying to steal the drugs, and she's the one trying to cast Reacher's suspicion onto the guy that they're tracking down, so that it's not on her.
I don't know if I noticed that or if I drew that conclusion from it, but
there were a
she
couple,
gave off vibes.
There were a couple moments that like pointed directly at her, and then they didn't lead anywhere, which is fine. Like I like the message.
It was
of
like
the
a
show.
red herring.
And it was a little odd how they introduced her too.
Mhm.
She's like,
or they couldn't get a hold of her. That was a red flag to me.
Yeah.
It took forever to get in touch with her, and I was like, okay, what is she doing?
It kind of felt like they might have switched at the last minute and decided not to do it, because there were a lot of moments that hinted towards that it was going to be a twist, like, oh, she was making money because she was like in corporate and stuff like that. But I don't dislike that it wasn't there. But it did kind of feel like a
trope to do too,
Well,
it did feel like a dropped plot point where Reacher would have, because it was brought up time and time again, if he was going to be confronted with having to take down someone from his own crew, and then it just doesn't happen.
I think they just did that as a fake out, to be honest. That was my whole perception of it, because they were dropping hints left and right where it felt like Dixon was going to be
this is great.
Be in the wrong.
The water bottle was hilarious.
Yeah, the water,
because he started doing that, and I was like,
there's no way that's going to silence a gun.
No, I panicked. I was like, please, you have got to be kidding me. No. Oh no. And then he pulls it off and starts laughing. And I was like, yes. I was cringing so hard.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. I loved that.
I like how he told
his
friend, like, I love you, but get the fuck out of my house.
Look at the size. Like, this is a good comparison. Like, because I know that actor is not small, right? His arm, like, he could like reach the other guy with his arm, like, over across all their shoulders.
Yeah.
Like,
so big.
Oh my god.
Did you see the girl there? The size of her heels.
These are probably twice the
size. So they could get her in shot with the Reacher.
Oh no!
Did you see the size of her heels?
I'll
have to look that up.
That's
to make her tall enough to be in the same frame.
Right.
Well, he's 6'3" in real life. So he's not quite 6'5" like Reacher's supposed to be, but damn, close enough in my opinion.
My brother's 6'5".
My husband's 6'2". I'm like 5'3", so that's a big difference.
So do you guys like Reacher and Dixon more, or Reacher and Clark Bar Girl?
Roscoe.
You like Roscoe?
Yeah,
Dixon
Roscoe.
has too much of a not so feminine look, in my opinion. And I feel like the other one looked more like a girl. And I just thought that the chemistry was more natural. His chemistry with Dixon almost felt forced. And, I just didn't like that. So I preferred Roscoe.
Roscoe is great.
I look for Roscoe because I like the character better. I'm not a big like romance in movies or TV shows guy. It's like the 8th thing on my list. You know what I mean?
But it doesn't hurt.
I thought this scene was cool. Yeah. That's the author of the books.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
Yeah, they kind of like look at each other.
That's kind of cool. I didn't realize that, Jacob.
Yeah. With the amount of meta jokes, I was kind of hoping that they do something with like Tom Cruise, have some kind of hint that like, oh, you used to be smaller, like you've gotten big,
Like, what happened? You look different.
I don't know. That might be too much.
There was
like
a nod to the what's his name, the guy in the movie that was suspected of shooting the people.
Mm-hmm. It's to the first Cruise movie, the first or second Cruise movie, the one with the assassin. So,
the first one.
First one. Yeah.
So he kind of mentions the guy that they have in jail for the shooting at the beginning of the movie.
It's like the 9th or 10th novel.
He kind of gives a nod to that.
Yeah. And I think that was their way of saying that the events of that novel aren't going to be covered in any TV show, but you can assume they sort of occurred roughly how they did,
The movie's good enough. It would just be retreading.
Yeah.
There's so many books. Why would you?
Fight.
Yeah.
That was okay. That was a good fight scene. Now that I see the picture, I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the scene where he's sticking the guys in the trunk. It's like,
that was great.
His leg.
I like whenever he was going toe to toe with the FBI guy, the one that wound up being like the bad guy, and like they're sitting there, they're pointing their guns at each other and whatnot, and he finally gets them to relent. That was a great scene. Cracked me up.
It's good. The show has a good balance of like a physical comedy and levity. That's it's never like a one-liner that pulls you out of the scene or the world building. It's really well balanced.
Yeah,
because you get funny.
you
get funny physical comedy moments where you're like,
yeah,
it's almost slapstick, but like not enough
Mm-hmm.
to.
I love when he opens the trunk, and Roscoe's like, it's like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, that was so great because he just broke their bodies and folded them up and stuff. I love that.
And I like how she's depicted. They're like evil guys. She doesn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she has the same practical morality that he does.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good shot. I love the shot of him in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did y'all think of the flashbacks to him younger?
I liked him with him and his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if the show's about his brother dying, so it's appropriate. I didn't love the flashbacks in season 2 as much.
No, but they were still good for like building that whole rapport, that he had with his team.
Yeah. I think it worked better in season 1.
I think the way they're going to do the flashbacks is they're supposed to give you an insight into Reacher's mindset in the current time.
Right.
Yes.
So,
like why he's thinking that way because of the, what had happened in the past or whatnot. Yeah. And I liked how they showed that, yes, even though he wasn't very affectionate, he loved his family and he really loved and respected his mother. And it was pretty cool.
And then his brother sticks up for him when he beats that other kid up.
Yeah, he took the blame, but his mom knew that it was him the whole time, and I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
It's because mothers always know, as they say. It's like,
Yeah.
mothers always know when grandmas have radar.
Yeah, this poor guy. He's like barely seen a dead body, and he's got like inundated with dead bodies all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like towns like that may see one murder in a decade normally. It's like,
Yeah.
And then they just start piling up, right?
yeah.
And this guy was
He was fun to hate.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's Bruce McGill. Who was in, I think he was in one or two movies with, oh, well, you know who he is. He's DJ from Animal House. I always think of him that way.
Do people use canes like that?
Rich people do.
Yeah. Or he's trying to emulate Teddy Roosevelt carrying a stick. I really like this part here. He had kind eyes.
Yeah.
This is
And
the
then
smallest he's looked in his entire show, and because the bars actually make him look like less. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah. I like the part where they're like, go get the cutters to cut the
Oh, he just breaks him.
around. He just breaks him in half. But yeah.
Man, that
Yeah, I suspected
his
this guy
arms are
too.
so big.
Yeah.
That's
I
a gun.
suspected the FBI
Got a
guy.
ticket to the gun show.
Well, like I said, I had read the first book, so I kind of knew what was going to happen in the first season.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm. Is there a book that you've read that you think should get adapted in a future season?
well, the reason I stopped reading them after the third, I know I read the first three. I possibly remember the fourth one, is because I felt like it was the same sort of thing over and over again. You know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of how it is, right? He's kind of like Bruce Banner, where he like moves
Yeah.
on, but I mean, he's not in legal trouble when he
And-
moves on
yeah.
typically, but
And I've read series like this. Like I've read Doc Savage, like 15 Doc Savage novels, or 10 or 15 Remo Williams novels. So I have no problem with series. I read like 70 Hardy Boys books. So I at some point I'm going to return to this series. You know what I mean? But
the scene we just skipped by in the diner, that was the one I was misremembering when I compared it to the movie.
Right.
The scene in the diner where he slaps the kid. That was the scene. That was the scene that was reminiscent of the Tom Cruise movie. Where,
by the way,
they're trying to bait him into getting into an altercation, so the police can show up.
Right.
The one who played Dixon was in Breakout King, the show I mentioned before, as one of the criminals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Anyway.
actually, funny enough, I think she was in Smallville too. As one.
I heard that she was. I don't remember her being on
She
that
was
show.
in one of the
I'm trying to remember.
CW superhero shows.
Zatanna. She played Zatanna.
Yeah, right.
I had to remember what her legs look like because that's Zatanna thing. She's.
This was a fun.
She was also in
scene.
Tron Legacy.
Oh God.
Who did she play in Tron Legacy?
Just one of the back characters.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say, I love that movie. I don't remember her face in it.
Criminally underrated. I love Tron Legacy.
I love it too, and so does
back
my
when
husband.
Disney knew how to make good movies.
Dude, and Daft Punk doing the score and the soundtrack.
Neely, the actress that plays Neely is pretty tall too.
Yeah.
Back when we didn't know that Olivia Wilde was a psychopath.
Well, in the novels, Neely is supposed to be like she's still womanly, but she's big. She's not like she's like a female Reacher.
That's
she only
a good
appears,
way
I think, in like 4 novels, but
it.
she's like, yeah, She's basically a female Reacher. She's big and intimidating, but still feminine.
She's like a Gina Carano.
No,
big,
Gina Carano's got fat on top of muscle, so that's not quite.
Yeah.
Gina Carano's
Neely.
short, though. Isn't she
Neely's
5'6" or something?
strong.
Yeah, Neely's big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Neely is like young Sigourney Weaver, who was like 6'1" or something. She was really tall before she got old. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I like the part where there's like two guards, and she's like pointing at one with the rifle, and she's like 1, 2.
That was a good scene.
And then
that was
bam,
really good.
Bam. It's good.
Mhm.
Practicing strafing between them.
Right.
It was good. The
Yeah.
scene where she, man, the finale is disappointing. I think both finales are slightly disappointing just because they're. But like in season 2, it sets up. Oh, I got a really good idea because I saw those kids in a car, and the idea was show up in a car.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be something clever, and it was just drive up to the front gates. That was it. That
Okay,
was the
but
idea.
how did you like that he stopped Russo's car by kicking it in the second
Oh!
season? It's just like,
Yeah, that was
bam!
great.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Super good. He kicks out the airbags. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
Amazing.
amazing.
but yeah, I think season 1, the finale, it doesn't have any like plot holes, but I think it just devolves into just generic shooty, and it just lacked the finesse that the rest of the season had.
And there were
It wasn't a satisfying fight scene. It was just pew pew pew, and like, oh, okay, that's fine.
the scene where he's like behind cover, and the helicopter's shooting at him.
Mhm.
And as the helicopter takes off, he like walks out and shooting at the helicopter. It's like,
Oh, and all they had to do was turn around with like the Gatling gun to kill him. Yeah,
I mean,
that
they wouldn't need to
that
turn
was
around. I mean,
season,
the guy should
episode
be
6, I
getting-
think, is worse than episode 8. I think episode 6, the one where the Boston guy dies, like
Yeah.
structurally, there's like people teleporting back and forth between like New York and Boston, and really fast, and you're like, I don't get what's going on, and then the other team catches up and runs over the guy with the car like at the last minute. Like, there were just so many conveniences that like I had a lot of problems with episode 6, but it had some of my funnest moments where it had like a stealth video game moment where he keeps luring. He finds a really good spot where you can keep luring the guards in on the bus.
Yeah.
Like, wonderful scene, and then they immediately ruined it by having him chase after the stupid helicopter with his gun.
Well, what made that scene was that one guy who was like, "I'm not going onto the bus with him."
Yeah,
and then he got pulled onto the other thing.
It was great. It was a wonderful scene, and then they ruined it.
Yeah,
but yes, the episode, I did not like episode 6.
Yeah, the kind of guy that's like buying the weapons to sell them. I thought that was kind of just a throwaway scene where they took care of him.
Well,
I kind of wanted a more of a fight with that guy.
I didn't. I wanted him to be killed like as inconsequently as he killed everyone he met. That was the point of that. Like the same way he treated everyone as disposable, like effort. He got killed the same way. That's why I love that killing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The assassin guy.
Yeah.
In season 2. Yeah, I agree. I liked that he was just dispatched.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to kind of like know who he was a little bit more, though, like, because you get to see so many scenes of him by himself. That's
probably like Reni, how far in a book series have you gotten?
Gosh, I don't remember. I want to say it was around like I've read around 10 books, but I don't think I read them chronologically. That's why I don't want to say how far.
Right.
But I don't think they were chronological. It's just stuff that, I kind of picked up from, I don't know if you guys have them here or there, but we have like these big stores called Half Price Books.
Yeah, we have books.
Well, no, but like, you know what I mean? So like if I saw something that was a really good deal on clearance or on sale,
I don't know if you guys know
I'd buy it.
But
well, no, not everybody has like Half Price books, so they don't know what I'm talking about whenever I mention it.
I'm
But
just teasing you. You can't take what I say seriously.
I go to eBay where I get 1/5 price books. Like,
I do have to go though. I have to go pick up my
Okay.
son from a birthday party. But this has been super fun, and I'm sad I can't stay longer because Reacher good, watch show, better, best show on Amazon, better than Hollywood doo doo.
Yeah.
there you go.
Do you have anything you want to plug while you're?
Well, I just have my weekly Sunday show. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the Netflix live action. I don't even know how to say it.
Yu
Hakusho.
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 We're gonna have some white cloaks on that stream. It'll be good.
I enjoyed that. I did a review of that show. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I need to finish watching it. I watched the first couple episodes, but it's pleasant and two good Netflix adaptations in a row. I have a little bit of like a glimmer of hope for.
Well, no, it wasn't
for Avatar.
It was a Japanese adaptation that they bought. Sorry to spoil you.
Oh, they bought it. They produced it. Okay.
The Japanese did it. Yeah.
I'm still terrified for Avatar.
Yeah, so am I.
But maybe I don't know. Maybe it's good. I saw the trailer and I was like,
it looks.
So we're gonna be reviewing that one every week.
Well, it's the same thing. The guy who ran Avatar, the TV show, is controlling the adaptation. So
no, all of the original creators left the project, which is concerning. But also, they also made Legend of Korra, so maybe it's good that they're not on the project anymore. I don't know. So my channel is Technically Mexican. We have a weekly live stream every Sunday night, and I am currently making videos making fun of the Wheel of Time season 2 because I hate it. So
we all hate it.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's my favorite book series, and it's my least favorite adaptation. So anyway, I gotta go.
Later, buddy.
Watch Reacher. Reacher good. Subscribe to hit the button. Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Bye. So the reason I was asking Reni about how far you read is I'm wondering if in the novel version of this, like of this season, I know it's like book 10 or 11.
I think it's book 11.
Yeah. If some of the holes that we see in this season are things in the novel that got explained more thoroughly. And that's what I was saying before. Maybe there's a little more footage they cut out, which could have filled a couple of those holes better,
Yeah, I don't think I've read that book because that one did not ring a bell, to be honest. But
it's called Bad Luck and Trouble.
Yeah, that's book 11. I have not read that one, I don't think. But I just, so I can't fill in those gaps for you. It's one of those things where, I used to shop at Half Price Books a lot. So whenever I'd see an author I like, or it's like, oh, I've read a book by this person, I really like it. So I'd pick it up. And, my favorite author is Stephen King. So I'll buy everything and anything Stephen King, aside from his newer stuff. But it took me a little while to warm up to this author's books. But once I read a couple of them, I'm like, okay, they're actually pretty good, and really enjoyed it. What's his name? Lee Child?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's his pen name for Reacher. I've heard, but don't know that he has another name, like his real name, and maybe a pen name for other stuff he writes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, this part is like, oh, good for you. You killed a mangy lion. Poor lion.
Yeah.
Every time I see these scenes like this, I think of Evil Dead and the talking animal heads. It's like my mind just constant callbacks, like everything I've seen before. Just like we were talking about Robert Patrick and the Terminator references.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you know, but his brother is Richard Patrick from the band Filter, and
yes,
I'm fairly sure that
but they don't look alike.
No, they don't. But several of his lines seem like the titles to Filter songs, so I think they were dropping references to that in too.
Oh, I guess I didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah. Like he said something like that's a nice shot, man. Which at one point, hey man, nice shot is a Filter song.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah. So
I like when they do creative stuff like that. Put little Easter eggs in there and make you think a little.
Yeah, I think that's it's a good call out. So
I also love all the music in the first season.
yeah,
All the
for the most part,
blues.
yeah, I have to go with that. I enjoy that Reacher is such a bluesy person, and they really tapped into the blues in the first season. I thought that was very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, the last season, the last episode where they kill Langstrom, I think that's his name.
Langston.
The Langston, right?
Yeah. With Terminator.
Yeah.
Have you seen this man? I really wanted him to say something like that, and it didn't happen, so I was kind of bummed out because it would have been really funny just to do it as a joke.
There was a part at the beginning, they have a guy following Neely and Reacher, and she puts her name as
Sarah Connor.
Yes.
And the guy's like, "Who's Sarah Connor? How the hell should I know?"
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. Well, there were a couple of different Terminator, I guess little Easter eggs in there that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I was like, oh, they've got to do this, and they totally did, and I laughed so hard every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did y'all think of his end?
Well, I think he went out the way he deserved to go out.
Oh yeah.
Because turnabout's fair play, and that dude was such a horrible
It's real
person.
easy to torture people when they're tied, or beat up people when they're tied up.
But when it's happening to you,
yeah.
I like when villains get their just desserts, so to speak.
Agreed.
And they didn't. One thing I was worried about was they would have to contrive a way to get Reacher on the helicopter. That's believable. You know what I mean, for Reacher.
Yeah.
And I was okay with the way they did it. So
yeah. Even though I'm like, come on, nobody can hold on for that long. That was crazy. But still, you suspend disbelief. I'm
not saying that that's possible, right?
Yeah.
But when I was younger and less obese and horrible, I've worked in healthcare for like 20 years, and in the old hospital there was a bad elevator, and I was taking the elevator, and there was a nurse taking a patient to L&D who was in active labor, and the elevator got stuck 6 inches off a floor. And these are the old stretchers that weigh over 100 pounds, and she was like, "Matt, we have to get her off this elevator, or you're helping me deliver a baby right now." And I'm like, Mr. Tuesday, I am not helping you deliver a baby ever. And I lifted the stretcher up 4 inches and carried her off the elevator in the stretcher. So adrenaline will give you some phenomenal strength.
Apparently, yeah. That's
I had grooves in my arms for quite a while. But there was a running joke for 3 or 4 months. Hey, Matt, we need the stretchers lifted. I'm like, no more.
You're like, you are not having this baby in this elevator. I know that much.
Well, not happening. I was like, I would have been fine if I weren't in the elevator. But,
right.
Yeah, it's like, but you can't. But he's so big. You know what I mean? Like he portrays immensely strong. You could suspend your belief because he's portraying as immensely strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
like he hits people of normal size and they go flying like they're made of paper.
He's got the confidence that that Jack Reacher has always had, right? He knows, this is the thing. He knows his instincts are right. He, for the most part, and he is like that in the books. His instincts are typically right. He knows, what he's capable of, what he can take, what he can't take. And sometimes, yes, he does feel like he's a little bit stronger than he is, but at the same time, Reacher is one of those people that will take chances and will take risk and go all the way because he knows it's the right thing to do. And I really like that they really hit on that in the show, especially in season 1. And he just did not care as long as he got justice in the end. Or he got justice for someone else in the end. And I thought that was great. And, it's a great portrayal of the character.
And there's a little bit of a Western element, a throwback to the wandering gunman type, with a better sense of morality than the people he meets, You know.
Yeah. What was the there was an old series,
Paladin.
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne. Have no more travel. I was thinking.
Yeah, and it was just a guy traveling around, and he'd do similar things. And funny enough, he was big like Reacher.
He's played by the guy who played in the Dirty Dozen. Not Gary Cooper. What was the guy's name? Dirty Dozen. You know the big guy in Dirty Dozen who was on the machine gun?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, it's the same guy that's played Cheyenne. Yeah. So now I want to look it up. So.
Okay.
I have to know. If my brain, I need,
Yeah, I get that.
Yes, my remembrance of all the obscure facts, comes from someplace.
Are you like the resident Cliff Clavin here? Like the character in Cheers? Little known fact.
Yes.
There's some of that, but it's because like I said, there's some things I obsess over. I've read Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits over 100 times each because
Oh wow.
Obsessed over.
I thought I've read them a lot, but you've got me beat.
The thing is, when I obsess over something, I've seen Babylon 5 dozens of times. I've seen The $6 Million Man probably 20 times as a whole series. When I like something, or there's books I've read so many times, like my brain, they get burned into my brain. You know what I mean? Cliff Walker,
yeah.
Clint, Cheyenne.
Clint.
Yeah, he was in Dirty Dozen and Cheyenne. Yeah, yeah. And he was 6'6".
Yeah. Big fella.
Yeah.
Oh, I hated this guy.
Yeah, I suspected him for being
Me
a bad guy.
too. I was like, all right, he's the one doing all the shit and setting everybody up. It's got to be him. That was another red herring they threw at us. He was just an asshole. Sorry, Jacob. Didn't mean to.
Yeah, it's okay.
So I'd be wondering in the book if there weren't more to this plot that we didn't see.
Yeah. Because it was the higher ups, because somebody was getting promoted and they didn't want a big stink. So they kind of brushed it under the rug.
Mm.
I kind of wanted to see these two fight.
So we have two actors at least who are in Breakout Kings, him and the girl who played Dixon. And he played the same type of character in Breakout Kings, and she played a criminal.
Yeah, but I just wonder if that kick to the front of the car would have set the airbags off.
Dude, it would for Reacher, okay? No.
Yeah, we have to assume that it's a Reacherism,
Yeah.
See, and I really liked the character of Russo in this season, and it really made me sad when they killed him off. I really felt like he did not get a good resolution, and it just really pained me to see that. I don't know. That was just me.
Although I did like at the end where they sent all the people money, and they sent money to his brother and for his kids. Thought that was...
and I like his evolving relationship with Reacher, where Reacher came to respect him through his actions. You know what I mean? Like he did the right thing, and Reacher knew he was a guy who could be counted on.
Yeah, but he never apologized for being. He was really nasty with Russo, and that's one thing that was kind of disappointing about season 2. Still a great show, but it was just I think they could have made that relationship with him and Russo a little bit better. But that's just me.
Well, that's what we were talking about before, why this should have been the 3rd or 4th season, because Reacher for himself is emotionally out of control the second season in the book and the second season compared to how he normally acts. So him treating this guy on Reacher way, right? Or remember he's reminded that he should always trust the facts and all that sort of thing, So you and I have read some of the books. We kind of know how Reacher should act and why he was acting emotionally here. But I'm wondering how the audience is going to react in season 3 when he's back to being like he was in season 1, and you'd be like, "Well, did they just turn off the switch or whatever?"
I like him better by himself.
For the most
Yeah,
part, that's how it is.
I think he was better by himself and just maybe like doing the whole Bruce Banner thing where, he meets new people and he kind of, works with them and then moves on to a new town kind of thing. But at the same time, it's nice to get a look into his background. I just feel like what the other
Yeah.
guys said that they went this way a little bit too soon instead of giving us more background on Reacher himself or more insight into who he was on the show. I think that was a little bit rushed. But again, I understand why they did it. It just felt rushed.
Yeah.
And the one change they're making to, I guess, the future books is that Neely is going to be in every season, I guess, from here on out.
Yeah, because I mean, she was a prevalent person in the books, but she wasn't in every book.
I think she's only in like 5 books or something like that. She might be mentioned in more, but she only appears in like 5 of them.
When she's
Maybe.
putting all that sugar in her coffee, he's like, has this disgusted look on his face.
It's like, ew.
He's probably thinking, you'll gain fat and not muscle with that sugar. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
Reacher is like a Terminator, pure muscle, and
Yes.
Who else? What the sugar? Oh my god, what was it?
I think he's always good. I mean, most everything I've seen him in, he's been good.
Was it the Blues Brothers or one of the brothers put like half a jar of sugar in their coffee?
I think it was.
Yeah. So, there's our T1000. I like how Reacher would call him on every time he get a phone from a goon. He would call him. That was great.
Yeah. And he's like, so is it done? And he's like, no.
No.
So good. And you could see the disappointment or the pissiness in his face when he hears Reacher's voice and like,
And when they get to the end and Reacher surrenders, and he's in the handcuffs and none of the guys want to go near him. Like they have 20 feet with guns. None of them want to be near him.
And even in the handcuffs, he beats them all up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that was the scene with the bike, like what they fought when they fought the motorcycle gang. He would appear in a scene, and the flashback I had was in Naruto in the Konoha Crush when Guy would appear. He'd just fly into the scene, kick a dude, and the guy would either explode or disappear. In the biker fight, or if Reacher just flies into the scene, hits a guy, and the guy is either dead or flies out of the scene. So no one.
I love the part where the two guys on the motorbike and one of them swings a chain at him and he just grabs the chain and yanks him off the back of the bike.
Yeah. It's like he just like, other than that one fight with that one assassin in season 1, you got to say he just overwhelms everyone he's gonna face. And I love it. He's like, he's the irresistible force. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. I mean, his size is intimidating, but he also knows how to fight. So that just takes people out. I like the part in the prison in the jail cell. He's like, I'm going to count to 3. And he's like, 1, 2. And he just starts beating him up when he hits 2. And man, all of them get beat up in this, except Neely.
That's not another thing to show. I heard people complaining about some stuff like I now call it woke derangement syndrome, where people are so traumatized by being woke, by woke programming, that they interpret everything like when a woman can fight good in a TV show or whatever. Now it must be woke to some people every single time.
Oh, I know somebody like that. So everything where a woman is a decent character or, wins a fight or something, it's like, oh, it's woke. You need to stop using that reference, especially whenever that's not the intention, or whenever it comes to older entertainment, right? It's like, oh yeah, that would have been, no, that wasn't the intent back then. It doesn't have today's narrative. And there are even some, a few modern entertainment pieces out there that have none of that, and people are just looking for it,
look at
and
the
it's
fights.
stupid.
You look at the fights with the women in here. Like when Neely or Dixon is going against a guy who's physically bigger than them, they get manhandled, but so they have to use a gun or skill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they don't reach her. Like Neely doesn't reach out and grab a dude who's bigger than her by the neck and straddle
No.
like that happens in the woke stuff. You know what I
Now,
mean?
mind you, she is actually a badass,
Yeah.
but she can't do it all, and she does have weaknesses. But some people would even look for that and be like, "Oh, she's overpowered." It's like, no, read the books. Neely is
you look
a
at
kick-ass chick.
Yeah.
you look at characters like Ripley,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the Aliens.
Well, Sigourney Weaver was
She's
a big woman.
badass.
I mean, she's not like this. Like that movie. This is the big contrast. I always tell people like that movie Prey that came out a couple years ago with the Indian fighting the predator, and I'm like, I would have been totally fine with that movie if the woman they got to play the Indian, instead of being 5'1", was like Sigourney Weaver size, like 6 feet tall. Like
I really didn't find that very very woke, to be honest. I think we're just looking for wokeness where we see entertainment. I think she was a young girl, and as a Native American, she had a lot of different ways to fight ingrained into her. I did not find that to be bad. I didn't like the look of the Predator. That would be my main complaint. I really didn't find that to be a bad movie. So
I don't want to see small men or small women doing things they shouldn't be doing. I can't believe it when it happens.
But that's always been the thing. Look at Eowyn in Lord of the Rings. She was tiny and she killed the Witch King of Angmar. So yes, that is possible.
But you got to look at the other movies in that Predator. Arnold, I mean, the big guy.
But
he got
okay. So the bigger you are, the bigger target you are, right? The smaller you are, the harder you are to shoot, because Predator had those super cool, like, high-tech guns too. So she's tinier. It's harder to get a good aim on her, right? And so I thought that was kind of an interesting way to think of it. I don't know. That's just my perception, though.
Yeah. I would have liked it better if the whole tribe was in on it,
Yeah, I think so too. But
as a tribe. But yeah, there were some things I didn't care for in that movie, but
it wasn't the best Predator movie, but it was decent.
You look at movies like Long Kiss Goodnight. I mean, she gets beat up bad.
But Gina Davis
if you've ever seen that movie,
I could believe her being in a fight. Like to give you a real life example, like Italian women tend to be very short. Like most of my aunts are like 5'1" or whatever. My mom is like 5'6", and she towers over them, and she has a reputation for beating the crap out of people in the Italian community. Like, or my grandma, who was also pretty big for an Italian woman, when she beat up the nun. That's a legend about my grandma. She beat the crap out of a nun when she was young. For decades, they told that story. But for an Italian woman, she was like 4 or 5 inches taller than the rest of them. You know. Excuse me. I'm not, now on the other hand, if you do like the Black Widow and say she has superpowers, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? If you give him superpowers or whatever, or short guy or Wolverine, he's a midget, but he has superpowers. You know?
Yeah, in the comics, he's short, but he's beefy and he's like regenerative and he's good at fighting and he has his berserker things that he goes through, which is amazing.
Well,
but
he has a multitude of hacks like the adamantium, the healing powers, the 74 martial arts.
But I don't think somebody's stature can always dictate whether they're a good or they're a bad fighter. I'm short, I'm small, but I can still overpower people bigger than me. I mean, you just don't know. I think it's just all skill and experience based, to be honest. I don't think size necessarily has anything to do with it every time.
Maybe just my practical experience from high school.
When they do, especially in like a live action kind of stuff, if they do it where she uses the other person's strength against them,
that's right.
She's smaller, but she can still figure out a way to overpower even a stronger fighter. I mean, smaller male fighters do that. So it's not, I just don't like it when a woman goes up against somebody twice her size fighting, at their level. It doesn't work. in reality. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah, look at Roscoe. Roscoe always uses a gun or uses the environment. I mean, granted, she's tiny, but she's not tiny, tiny. But
Yeah.
she fights smart. In the whole season one, she fights smart.
Yeah. Even Finley, he's smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is there anything y'all liked in particular about a
Uh,
character, or any
Uh,
characters
um,
you liked in particular?
I really liked Finley in the first season. I thought his uh I want to say camaraderie, for lack of a better word, with Reacher was pretty great. I thought that, even though they kind of tried to make you think that he had a lack of integrity from time to time, it was always there. He always had kept his integrity. He was always trying to do the right thing. He may have come off a little uptight, especially because he was always wearing tweed, but like, he always wanted to do the right thing, and I thought he was a great person to partner with Reacher. They picked a really good guy to play him. I really like
Yeah.
the actor that
I,
played
I,
him.
I like the storyline about the dog.
Yeah,
At
and how he
first he's
wound up
kind of like,
taking it.
just leave the dog alone. That guy will take care of the dog. But then he finally realizes this guy's not taking care of that dog, and he
Yeah,
steps in and takes the dog. So
yeah.
that's good.
so, leaving aside Reacher and Neely, who were in both seasons, basically, I think almost all the characters in the first season are more memorable, like and likable in a sense. Even the bad guys, you love to hate the bad guys type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas in the second season, I mean Robert Patrick, I always remember him from the Terminator and X Files, so I like what he does, right? But his role
Right.
in here was just a generic sort of bad guy. You know what I mean? Um,
Hmm.
like the only sort of really memorable character is Russo. Who you kind of you got caught in on his story. I guess I got caught in on the story of the woman with the executive with the daughter, you know, rocking a hard place type of thing. I kind of felt like joining to her character in the second season, but for the most part, the characters in the first season all drew me in more than the characters in the second season. That much I can say for sure.
I
Yeah.
I kind of say yes and kind of say no to that. I will say Robert Patrick always owns every scene that he's in, so I had a hard time looking away from the screen when he was on, even though he was a bit campy. I did like the dynamic with Reacher being with his old military team, so I thought that was kind of interesting to get to learn more about his background, but he did mesh better with the characters in the first season to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some actors and actresses play well off each other, and some don't. I mean, it's just sometimes you get just the right group of people to come together.
Well, maybe I'll put it this way: like I think the story served almost all the characters better in the first season than it did in the second season. That's kind of how I'm thinking. You
Hmm.
know. Like we were talking
Yeah.
before, how it felt like there were pieces missing to some of the side stories and whatever, you know. Like it's hard to explain it very directly, but and maybe when I rewatch the second season 2 or 3 or 4 more times, like I did the first season, maybe I'll feel differently. You know what I mean? Because when
Yeah.
you watch something multiple times, your brain gets more invested in it. There's that neurological feedback, and
Right.
Yeah, I do think they could have done a better job in the second season with the reveal about Swan. Um, I kind of thought he was a bad guy as well. Like whenever they first started, searching for him, because it seemed to me like the brick of cocaine that he had or whatnot was him because he was real nervous when Reacher asked about it. And then come to find out he was a good guy. Oh, and by the way, he's dead. And it's like, oh man, that's too quick. We needed a slower reveal for all that stuff. I don't know. That's just me. I just felt like it wasn't set up
well, I
super,
think you're
super
right.
well. But
I think it was maybe a hammy attempt to get us to suspect him and feel bad when we turned out to not be a bad guy. You know.
yeah,
Now, the interesting thing to say going forward, like we know Neely's gonna be back. She's like basically a co-main character now, right? Or
Mhm.
how you want to think of it. Um, so we'll probably, and these other characters I think only appear even less than Neely in the other books. So we're interesting when they do. Will they do occasional callback to any of these characters, like in season 4 or whatever?
Hmm.
Because Finley only appears in one book, so they just did a callback, right? So
Yeah, but he was only in like, you know, in
yeah,
season 2 for like 5 minutes.
yeah. So that's what I'm wondering. Will they just have one of these characters show up, like he calls like one of them for information and have like a 2-minute conversation or whatever?
Probably just to keep the audience vested, I think, or invested. I think they will do something like that, just to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember this person from season 2, and it doesn't feel like an anthology series instead of just like a whole series.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think that would probably be smart.
And there have been a couple little tiny rumors out there that someone wants to do a Neely series. I don't know if that's gonna fly or not, but
I don't find that to be something that I would be interested in.
but the character has proven to be immensely popular. That much is for sure.
She's a great character. I just
Yeah.
don't see the point of, having her have her own series.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's great for what she is in this series. I mean, she's like his, what do you call it?
His ride or die, man. Like if he needs
Yeah.
something in a pinch, she's there.
Yeah. And she's kind of the techie kind of.
Yeah,
seems like.
in the novels, Reacher considers her to be a little more ruthless than he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they softened her up a little bit in the show.
I like
Not
the
in a
part
bad
where
way,
he's
but-
just where it shows he's just pulled these people together to start this investigative group, and he takes them to an officer's bar, and it's like these grunts aren't supposed to be in the officer's bar. And he took him there to start a fight to pull them together. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool tactic, to be honest. And I did like, at the beginning when they were all in the office, it's like, well, why'd you pick this person? This doesn't make sense. And why is this person here with us? We don't need this person. And then they finally all realized that they all needed each other. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And he handpicked them for how they, stood against stuff.
Yeah, like they all had their own talent or what they brought to the group that once you bring them all together, kind of like Voltron, right? They're like the ultimate, the ultimate group. And I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah. Me too. I liked the older guy, the black guy. He was like the oldest of the group.
That's the one
I wish
thing.
it
I mean,
had more of him in it.
well, the one good thing. I mean, from a narrative point of view, not that it's good that they were all killed off or whatever, but from a narrative point of view, this flashback gets you invested in those characters. So when they are killed off, you're like, wow, like you might have, you know what I mean? Like there's a saying, like, better to leave you wanting more than wishing you had gone away sooner or whatever. So better wish they made us want to see more of these characters, which was good, rather than make us so. But had they shown more of these characters, we might have said, well, maybe they shouldn't have, So
Yeah. Yeah, the first guy that they show getting thrown out of the helicopter, he's laughing and he's like, I'm just thinking of what the big guy's gonna do to you.
Yeah. Are you talking about what's his face? Why can't I think of his name all of a sudden?
That guy.
Yeah. God,
That guy.
just trying
Helicopter victim 1A.
Oh, that's so sad. I can't believe I can't think of his name.
Although, given that this seems to be a standard way that he he disposes of his like victims. There must be a forest full of like helicopter bodies like all over the place up there.
Yeah, exactly. How come nobody's found all these dead bodies that are lying around?
Well, could you imagine a small town like the sheriff going, "Hey Bob, we found another body impaled on a tree somehow."
Like,
2 weeks
what the
later,
hell is
"Hey
going
Bob,
on,
there's another
man?
body. It's this time it fell on a cow."
Yeah. I mean, you've got to admit that's pretty fishy, and how nobody's caught it yet. That's
Yeah. It's like
I do like that part at the end of season 2 where those two guys, "Hey, I'm just the pilot. I didn't kill anybody." And the other guy's like, "Oh, I'm just a scientist." It's like, okay, y'all can go.
And you knew, like I saw that coming a mile away. Like you knew they were dead. And
even though it was kind of messed up because they were kind of innocent bystanders, but it's like, oh, they're gonna die.
You're not an innocent bystander if you're flying a helicopter dropping the dudes. Like
the scientist guy was showing a guy that sells weapons to terrorists how to use these weapons. It's like,
true.
People are
but
gonna
how
die
many of you
'cause of
guys
that.
like thought of the fact that like maybe they were doing what they were doing because they were afraid they would be next? I don't know.
Yeah. But in the sort of like setting of the novel that they live in, like Reacher's people would die rather than do that. So that's a standard that they're judging them by. You know what I mean? Like Reacher's people
that's
would
fair.
say, "I will die rather than do the wrong thing."
Yeah, that's true. And Reacher's got that same, mentality. You will not take my integrity away from me. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any last thoughts on this?
I mean, maybe I enjoyed the series more than some other members of the host, whatever. But I'm hoping we see season 3 by the end of next year, or this year, the year we're in right now, so to speak.
Oh, it's slated from what I heard for 2025, which I'm like, damn it! Can't wait that long. I honestly, if anybody's watching this on the rerun or whatnot, or anyone in the audience hasn't seen this, it's the best show that you're not watching. There's really nothing in it that can be considered, in my opinion, adhering to today's entertainment standards from a political or social justice point of view. So it's just a character being portrayed properly, closely to the source material, which is something that we don't get a whole lot nowadays. So if you like a big dude going around kicking ass and fighting for justice, but he doesn't have any superpowers, this show's for you. Just saying.
Yeah. And it's, it's not, I've heard people ask, well, is it good because we haven't seen good stuff in a while? But it is actually good, especially the first season. So it is a good watch.
Yeah, I watch a lot of shows like this, like what you might call military action adventure shows. I've probably seen 20 or 30 at least of them over the past 30 years. And this is one of the better ones you'll ever see. So,
yeah, I agree.
Better than the movies, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. First movie's good. Second movie, no, not so much. Because we pretty much get a female Jack Reacher.
In the wrong way.
Yeah, in the wrong way.
I mean, the female Jack Reacher is Neely, but she's done properly in the books and the show. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't think of anything else to say about this show.
Have we reached the limit of what we could say?
I think Jacob has reached his limit of slides, maybe. That might be the hint that we're getting.
What?
You have reached your slide limit. You've exhausted your slides or your clips for the show.
Are we going to die trying to find some more stuff to talk about? I'm trying to think of other Reacher novel titles to use as puns.
Yeah, but you don't want to spoil it in case it becomes a season.
I mean, we have nothing to lose by keeping to continue. You know, it's not like we could go for 61 more hours here, Jacob.
Well, I can't. I gotta run in about 45 minutes. But yeah.
There's only 22 novels worth of titles to make puns for. You know, it's like
yeah.
I mean, that's plenty of material. I doubt the show's going to go on that long, but even if it makes it 5 seasons, I'll be happy because it's better than some of the stuff that we have out today. So, I mean, I'd take it.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a whole lot of good entertainment that's actually entertaining and not teaching anybody a lesson. So this is one of those shows. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. I like how it makes liberals upset because he's based and toxic.
Oh God, yeah, I love it. And then they try to go after. Well, you're a Christian. You shouldn't be doing stuff like this. And I wanted to punch the screen, but my monitors are too beautiful and expensive, so I wouldn't do that. But I was like,
yeah. There is a video of him addressing that he's a Christian, shouldn't play in something so violent. But I haven't watched it
on my live stream 2 weeks ago. I've talked about the article. There was an article about it, and you know, and he was pretty eloquent. He made some good points. So,
yeah. Well, I think that's about it. If you haven't watched this, go watch it. Do it.
Do it.
Do it. Without fail. You know, don't take 61 hours to do it.
No. I mean, I binged the first season. So it took me 2 days and I just watched the whole thing.
Yeah. But don't die trying to do it.
Show how good it is. No. But yeah. Do y'all have anything y'all want to plug?
I do.
Streams y'all are going to be coming up on?
I do. Okay. So if anybody hasn't seen me before here, I am typically a regular on Mr. Brown Alliance. Mr. Brown's a pretty cool guy. And we talk about like the happenings and whatnot. And we also do movie streams. And then if you're into retro stuff, I used to also stream with Ms. Martin Muses, Teresa Martin, very intelligent lady. We did a lot of book discussions, including some Tolkien stuff. So please go check out those 2 channels if you would. That's it.
Yes. Okay. Matt, what about you?
Yeah. So tomorrow morning, my review for the first episode of Masters of the Air drops. Full spoilers: the Allies won World War II. You know.
No way.
Oh, you ruined it all for me.
I've ruined World War II for everyone.
How could you spoil me like that? I was waiting to find out.
Yeah. I'll probably have another episode of Sharp out. I think season 2, episode 3, Sharp's Enemy. No, that was episode 2. Sharp's Trial, whatever it's called. That should be up by like Tuesday. What else? That's what I remember right now. Oh, well, whatever, Jake. Jacob, have we done your next schedule yet? I seem to be like filling in a lot of your stuff.
Not yet. I'm about to put out a new schedule.
So you can all go watch the past stuff we did, like the marathon session for Lawrence of Arabia, or the previous Saturday we did like what John Wayne and John Hurt. Last week we did the Pacific. I suppose with what Masters of the Air, when it's done, we'll talk about that, right, Jacob?
Yeah, I'm actually going to do some streams next month about that.
Yeah, and then what else am I doing? Every Friday afternoon, 3:00, I do like Friday Fandemonium, which is my hour to hour and a half live stream. Talk about hobby stuff, comic books, some tech stuff. Oh, and the one I did this Friday past, I talked about the death of Gary Graham, who Ambassador Soval from Star Trek Enterprise, Matt Sykes from the Alienation TV show. So the main 2 characters he's well known for.
Okay.
That's about it. Oh, we're going to be on Roman's show Thursday. Jacob.
Right. Right. Yeah. Monday I'm going to be on Cannoli Sasquatch's channel, and we're going to be talking
nice.
about the movie Snatch. It's a 2000 Brad Pitt movie, and yeah, I actually talked about 12 Monkeys on Roman's stream, and Snatch really show how versatile Brad Pitt is as an actor.
Or did we
given
talk
the
about it?
opportunity.
Do we really know if we talked about it, Jacob?
Did we? But yeah, in Snatch, he plays an Irish guy. What are they called? Traveler.
Yeah.
So
he is a much better actor.
He does have a pretty wide range
where he used,
if given the opportunity. But he mostly plays himself. So. But yeah, and then yeah, I will be on Roman's Free Range Thursday. And Tuesday on my show, we'll be talking about the movie Ronin, a Robert De Niro movie. Good one.
And Sean Bean. Is
Sean Bean? Yep.
Is John Reno in that? Oh, I remember a different movie.
John Reno. I don't know.
If you want to, have you seen Fury, by the way, with Brad Pitt?
Yes. Yeah, I have. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
But, well, that's it, folks. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. Thanks to Reni and Matt for hanging out. And we will see y'all next time. Later.